Some separations do not end with a goodbye, they end with a question that echoes for a lifetime. In 1975, amid gunfire, fleeing crowds, and the collapse of a nation, a Vietnamese mother lost her son, not because she abandoned him, but because history moved faster than her feet could carry her back. For 49 years, she woke each morning wondering if he was alive, if he was safe, if he ever looked at the sky and felt a mother he could not remember still loving him. This is not just a story of loss. It is a story of waiting and of a love that survived half a century. The day a mother turned back. April 30th, 1975. Vung Tau was overflowing with fear. The shoreline was packed with people clutching documents, children, and fragments of their former lives. Boats swayed under the weight of desperation. No one knew where they were going, only that staying felt impossible. Among the crowd stood a woman named Lam Yen. She was not there to flee. She had come to see off her older sister, Lam Lele, and her family, who were boarding a boat bound for an uncertain future overseas. Before that day, Ms. Yen had already made painful compromises. She had left her 2 older children in her hometown and entrusted her youngest son, Lam Hoang Dung, to a woman in Saigon for temporary care. Dung was still very young. He was also a mixed-race child, the son of a Vietnamese woman and an American soldier, who had been ordered to return to the United States before Dung was born. When Ms. Yen became pregnant, she lost 2 people at once, the man she loved and the future she imagined. She gave birth alone, raised her son amid prejudice and hardship, and carried the weight of judgment that mixed-race children faced in post-war Vietnam. On that day in Vung Tau, her sister begged her to leave together, to escape, to start over, to save herself. For a moment, Ms. Yen agreed. She stepped onto the boat. But as the engine rumbled and the distance between shore and future began to widen, her heart turned backward. She thought of the children she was leaving behind, 2 waiting in her hometown, 1 waiting in Saigon, a little boy with dark skin, tightly curled hair, and eyes that searched for her every time she left the room. She could not do it. Ms. Yen jumped off the boat. Later, she would say quietly, "If I were a heartless mother, I would have gone, but I still had children who needed me. Who would take care of them if I didn't return?" She watched her sister disappear into the sea of refugees, not knowing that this would be the last time she would ever see her. Then she turned back toward Saigon, toward her son. But history was already closing its doors. Transportation had collapsed. Roads were blocked. Vehicles were scarce. With no other option, Ms. Yen began to walk hundreds of kilometers, driven by one fear, that her child was waiting, wondering why his mother had not come back. When she finally reached the place where she had left Dung, exhaustion clinging to her bones, she was met with words that shattered her world. Her son was gone. The woman who had been caring for Dung had waited for several days. When Ms. Yen did not return as planned, she assumed the mother would never come back. With too many mouths to feed and no means to raise another child, she gave Dung to a woman named Trang, an acquaintance connected through Ms. Yen's sister. Ms. Yen collapsed. She ran through bus stations and markets, clutching her son's memory like a photograph no one else could see. She asked strangers if they had seen a dark-skinned little boy with curly hair and wide eyes. People shook their heads. "There are too many children like that," they said. "There are too many women named Trang." She traveled as far as Bac Lieu, only to return with nothing. For an entire year, she ate only vegetarian food, praying for her child's safety. And then, silence. A life built on waiting. After the war, Ms. Yen's life did not grow quieter, it grew heavier. Because she had once worked in service roles connected to the U.S. military, she was sent to a labor camp for 9 months. Each night, sleep refused to come. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw her son, sometimes crying, sometimes smiling, always reaching for her. Rumors reached her ears like knives. Some said Dung had been kidnapped. Others whispered that he might have died during the chaos. Ms. Yen rejected both. She chose to believe something else, that her son had been raised by someone kind, somewhere far away. That perhaps, by being separated from her, He had been spared the cruelty and discrimination mixed-race children endured in those years. This belief did not erase her pain. It only gave it somewhere to rest. She remarried. She had 2 more children, but she made one decision that never changed. She refused to leave Saigon. No matter how difficult life became, she stayed close to her family's old addresses. Because what if one day her son came back? What if he stood at a doorway asking for a mother who was no longer there? Years passed quietly. Decades slipped by. Dung became a name she carried in silence. Then, 2 years ago, while visiting her daughter Kim Thao in Vinh Long, something unexpected happened. One evening, Thao turned on Tuan Vai Channel, a program dedicated to reconnecting lost family members. As they watched, Thao noticed her mother grow unusually still. Half joking, she said, "Mom, did you ever lose a child? If you did, I'll go on that show and find them for you." Ms. Yen froze. Then she broke. Tears poured from a wound that had been sealed for nearly 50 years. Thao was stunned. She had never known she had a lost brother. Apart from Ms. Yen's husband and a few relatives, no one had ever spoken of Dung. Days later, after returning to Saigon, Ms. Yen wrote a letter. Her handwriting shook across the page as she told her daughter the truth about the war, the boat, the child she never stopped searching for. Thao wept as she read. She promised her mother something sacred. If Dung was alive, she would find him. Information was submitted to Tuan V, Connecting Love. Months passed, then years. And then, on the other side of the world, a quiet search was unfolding as well. The woman named Trang, now elderly but dignified, had raised Dung as her own. She believed the family had agreed to the adoption. She had even been given his birth certificate. After the war, seeing Vietnam collapse into uncertainty, she made a decision that would change everything. She applied to immigrate to the United States with Dung. Because he was mixed race, their departure was approved quickly. Dung grew up in America, loved, educated, successful. At 17, Ms. Trang told him the truth, that she was not his biological mother. He replied calmly, "I already knew." Years later, Ms. Trang posted online, searching for his birth family, and in June 2024, 2 stories finally crossed paths. When 49 years collapse into one moment. When Kim Thao saw the post, her hands trembled. Every detail matched. Names, addresses, memories that could not be invented. When she told her mother, Ms. Yen cried until her chest ached. Still, the reunion did not come easily. Dung had searched for years. He had encountered false leads and disappointment. Eventually, he had told Ms. Trang to stop looking. Hope had become too painful. So when news of Ms. Yen surfaced, he was cautious, skeptical. In July 2024, Ms. Yen and Ms. Trang spoke for the first time. 2 mothers, 2 lifetimes of misunderstanding, 2 women realizing that neither had intended harm. They pieced together memories, houses, relatives, streets that no longer existed. Recognition dawned slowly, then all at once. 4 days later, Ms. Yen saw her son, after 49 years, through a video call. The moment his face appeared on the screen, she knew. No document could have convinced her more than instinct. She did not say much, only, "It's been such a long time since I last saw you." Then she could not continue. She begged the interpreter to tell him one thing, that she had never stopped loving him, that she never chose to leave him, that she hoped he would not resent her. Ms. Trang spoke too. "I love you," she told him. "I never meant to take you away." Ms. Yen said softly, "I cried once when your father left. I cried again when you were taken from me. Today, I cry because I found you." Dung listened calmly, but his words carried depth. He said he did not blame her. He believed everything happens for a reason. He spoke of his life, his career as a senior banking executive, his marriage of 27 years, his 2 grown children. Still, he asked for a DNA test, not from doubt, but from a desire for certainty. Ms. Yen agreed instantly. "I would test 10 times if needed," she said. The results came back 2 weeks later. They were mother and son. Since then, Dung has called her every day. She practices English. She teaches him Vietnamese words. Her other children welcome him as family. He plans to return to Vietnam next year. Ms. Yen, elderly and recovering from a stroke, grows stronger at the thought. She tells her daughter what to cook: grilled crab, tamarind shrimp steamed in coconut water. A mother preparing meals for a child she waited nearly half a century to feed.